Thank you for checking out Real Talk Personal Finance. Shit's about to get real. Cashflow King with you today. And in today's episode, we have the Q3 e-gift card winner. Sports betting is not an investment. And even though I didn't put this in the title, we have a blurb about gambling taxation. So before we get into all that, thanks so much as always for tuning into the show. We really appreciate it. For those of you that are not aware, we do offer a premium membership. If you would like to support the show and helping to keep the show ad-free, currently $3 a month. We do a lot of cool shit with that. We've talked about it on previous episodes. I think I have a special episode dedicated to the benefits of becoming premium, but real quick in a nutshell, we do some cool shit like additional promo codes on the merch. We put out a quarterly e-newsletter. We give you a shout out on the podcast. We do e-gift card giveaways like we're going to talk about here in just a minute. And, we really appreciate everybody. But if you have the means to do so and you'd like to become a premium subscriber, you can click on the link in your show notes and check it out. So I wanted to, as I mentioned on the past couple of episodes, announce the winner of the Q3 e-gift card. And the funny thing is, some of our premium subscribers I know personally, and some of them I don't. However, I was thinking about doing something where I announce the winner on the show, and you actually have to email or contact the show to prove you're listening to it for me to give you your e-gift card. But I decided against that because the winner for the Q3 e-gift card, $25 e-gift card, and I'm going to give you, I'll reach out to you separately, but I'm going to give you a choice between either Amazon, which seems to be pretty popular with some people, or Domino's. So your pick. Congratulations to Clint T, who I know personally, and he's been a premium subscriber for quite some time, and we always joke because I think he's so busy sometimes I'm not even sure he listens to the show. But I will reach out to you separately, buddy, and congratulations, and thanks for your support. We appreciate it. All right, so that's the Q3 e-gift card giveaway. Congratulations to Clint T. We got some feedback. I want to read an email that came in actually last night, pretty late, from Big Brother K. Just give me a second to get over to the email for the show here. As always, we're open to feedback, and if you have any, whether it's show ideas or different types of content ideas, or you like the show, you didn't like a show, you think the show's great, you think it sucks, whatever, write the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. Big Brother K says, Cashflow King, thank you for the deep dive you did on my situation, July 19th, Big Bro K. It was fun to listen to. You had some questions. I plan to follow up sometime next year during Q2 or Q3. If you want to do a follow-up episode, I am open to it. My email today is to suggest a periodic episode for the podcast. I was listening to your bonds episode, and you briefly mentioned the idea I was pondering. What if you did an every other month or quarterly episode reviewing movies about finance? The three movies which come to mind are Trading Places, HBO's Too Big to Fail, and The Big Short. And then he goes on a little bit about The Big Short, and he said, I hope you give it some thought, and if you choose to do it, I look forward to your perspective. So thanks for writing in, Big Brother K. To be honest, I actually almost emailed you separately shortly after Cube Crusher and I recorded your show and it aired. And by the way, anybody that hasn't listened to it, we did some listener finance reviews. And so if you want to go back, you can look for the one that we did on Big Brother K featuring Cube Crusher. And I wasn't sure really how you were going to take it. In fact, I kind of thought maybe he's pissed at the show because we didn't hear anything from you for a couple months. But, I know we cut up. We had a little fun with it. I hope you didn't think we were poking at you, making fun of you or anything like that. We were just having some fun and trying to make it as beneficial as possible for all the listeners just based on your situation. So I'm glad you're a good sport about it. I'm glad to hear that it was fun for you to listen to, and absolutely open to doing a follow-up next year. So just feel free to shoot us a note, and we can go ahead and do a follow-up episode at that time and dig a little bit more into it, see what you've been up to, see what you've decided to do or not do. Because as you know, we don't give any advice on the show, right? Non-advice advice, as you guys like to call it. So interested to see what might be working for you and what you were able to glean from the show and kind of where you are at that point in your journey. So thanks again for listening. We appreciate it. And thanks again for writing into the show. As far as the movies go, man, I got a lot going on right now. We got a newborn, and I don't really have a ton of time, and even when I didn't watch a lot of movies, but that is a great idea. I mentioned it to Cube Crusher, and We're still talking it over, so not sure yet whether or not we'll end up doing that. But if we do, we'll make sure to give you credit for bringing that idea to the show, and possibly that might be something that will come out in the future. No promises, but again, we appreciate the idea. All right, so let's see. Title of today's show, or the second part of the title of today's show, about sports betting not being an investment, might kind of seem, like, no shit, Cash Flow King. Of course, it's not an investment. But I bring this up, and this came at an interesting time. So I'm recording this on the day before it comes out, right? Sunday, October 6th. And on Saturday, October 5th, I had an interesting time with some sports bets. I'm not really a big sports person, but, decided to get into the sports betting thing a little bit, had a little bit of fun with it. And unfortunately, yesterday didn't go all that well. But for me, it's strictly a form of entertainment. It's really not educational, but it's just entertainment. Kind of like this podcast is entertainment. But hopefully you think it's educational as well. But it reminded me of a conversation I had probably about a month or so ago with a younger client. And so I thought that I would just briefly talk about this on today's show, because maybe there's some things in life that we take for granted and some things that we don't really know, right? I'm a big believer in you don't know what you don't know, right? And so I remember having a conversation with this younger client and helping him get started with his retirement plan at work. And I said something to him to the effect of, are you doing any other types of investments right now or anything like that? And he went on to tell me a story about his DraftKings account and how he, other than that, no, not really. And he went on to talk about, I don't really know anything about baseball, but he was saying that I guess he bet $25 on like the worst or second to worst baseball team to win something, and they ended up winning it, and he won like $1,300 or something like that off a $25 wager, and then he immediately cashed it out. That's called gambling. That's called getting lucky. That's called good for you. That is not investing. And I think, again, I don't say that to make fun of him, but he is a younger person, a younger client, and sometimes I think, I'm not on there, so I really don't know, but like TikToks and shit like that, you got people talking about all kinds of stuff. I've had other clients ask me things in the past about, well, I saw such and such about this life insurance thing on TikTok. What do you think? And there's a lot of people out there that are not licensed, that are not credentialed, that are just completely full of shit, that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, that are saying different things on these social media channels. And so I don't really know that there's anything like that going on out there as far as the sports betting. But just to be crystal fucking clear, sports betting is absolutely not an investment. It's fun. It's definitely fun. You can make a little bit of money doing it. And I think there's actually some, I've seen it in passing, some Reddits or subreddits out there that talk about, I think they call it, instead of FanDuel, it's like Profit Duel, I think is what it's called, or something like that, where basically there's communities of people that are dedicated to like creating arbitrage between these different sports betting sites and using match bonuses to trigger certain things, and not really something that I'm interested in necessarily. I mean, I'm all about the bonuses and stuff. I actually, ironically, after having a shit night last night, I got an email offer for 100% match up to $100. Is that an investment? No. Is that the same as your 401k match? Fuck no. Am I going to do it? Yeah, probably, because it's a free $100 bet, and I don't care to throw $100 on something, have a little fun, watch the game, and good to go. So anyway, but I just wanted to make that clear that sports betting is not and should not be seen as an investment. Although, if you want to do it, by all means, go for it. Just make sure that you do it within reason. So another thing that I wanted to tie into this episode that is somewhat related to this has to do with a financial blooper, actually, with me, the Cash Flow King. And I learned this. I knew some of this, but not the intricacies of it. So I kind of learned this the hard way for tax year 2023. And after having some dialogue with my CPA, one of the questions that your tax advisor will typically ask you is whether or not you have any earnings or winnings or losses due to gambling. And that's up to you in terms of how you want to handle that. And if you're telling them or not telling them, I'm not here to tell you what to do or not to do. Again, we don't give any advice on the show. This is for entertainment and education purposes only. However, I did mention, actually, I did have some gambling winnings from last year. And so he asked for a breakdown. And I gave him a breakdown. There were some gambling winnings and there were also some gambling losses. And I've always heard and been under the impression that you can deduct your gambling losses only up into the extent of your gambling winnings. In other words, you cannot create a net tax loss due to having more losses than winnings, right? And so that was pretty straightforward. Like, that wasn't really new to me. As far as the taxation of it, again, not tax advice, check with your own tax advisor, but it's taxed at ordinary income. Again, not really a surprise to me. But where it got interesting is when you take a look at how that interplays with whether or not you take the standard deduction versus if you itemize. Some years we itemize because of our rental properties and stuff like that. Other years we might take the standard deduction. When I was filing single, I almost always itemized. Now that we're filing married, filing jointly, it really does depend. But basically, the way that this works is that if you itemize, and only if you itemize, could you receive any sort of a tax benefit, quote unquote. Really, it's not even really a tax benefit. I mean, it is and it isn't, for any sort of gambling losses to the extent of your gambling winnings. However, if you take the standard deduction, which most people do, you really don't see any sort of tax benefit from those gambling losses that are under the amount of the standard deduction. So I'm going to read a couple of phrases here from one of the bullet points he put in an email to me without disclosing too much, but just to try to give you guys an idea. He said, as your standard deduction for 2023 was $27,700 and your itemized deductions without the gambling losses were X, which was less than that, you didn't see a tax benefit from the gambling losses until your total itemized deductions reached the $27,700. As at that point, your itemized deductions became more than your standard deduction, and each additional dollar of loss provided a tax benefit. So basically, the way I thought it was going to work was, hey, I have some winnings and I have some losses. And basically, as long as, if I have a net win, I'm going to pay tax at ordinary income. And if I have a net loss, then I can basically deduct all my losses from my winnings and no more. Maybe carry it forward, maybe not carry it forward. That part I wasn't sure about. But the way that it ended up working out was that, no. We're going to take your winnings. We are going to tax you on those winnings at your ordinary income tax rate. So you're paying that. And then we're going to look at your losses separately. And anything under the standard deduction, you don't get to deduct anything. But if and only if, and when and only when, the amount of losses exceeds, along with your other deductions, exceeds the standard deduction, then and only then do you get a tax benefit for that portion, which is then, counted against essentially the gambling winnings. So the point is, gambling is gambling. Do it if you want to. If you're not into it, don't do it, right? Set your limits, all that good stuff. But as far as the taxation of it, it is very, very non-tax friendly, especially if you're taking the standard deduction and you were hoping to use any sort of gambling losses to offset gambling winnings. So pretty much you get double fucked. And the way that it ended up working for me, the cash flow king, for tax year 2023 is that even though I had a net loss, I won enough where I had to pay taxes at ordinary income on those winnings, and therefore ended up owing some money for the gambling winnings, even though I had a net overall loss for 2023. So, a little bit of a blooper on my side in terms of the way that all went down. And I don't want to say too much on a podcast here that goes out to the general public, but I thought that was interesting, and I kind of wanted to tie that into the conversation here about sports betting, just because I feel like they're both related. Some of my gambling is sports betting, and some of it's not. If anybody wants to get together and gamble, we might even do like a 2025 trip. I got to get with Cube Crusher. He's out in Vegas now, and maybe we'll do like a Real Talk Personal Finance meetup or something like that, and get together and have a little bit of fun out there in Vegas. So we'll see how that goes. But today is going to be a pretty short and sweet episode. Again, I wanted to announce the Q3 e-gift card winner because I mentioned to you guys that I would. I was thinking about sports betting and the conversation I had with a younger client, and quite frankly, as I might have mentioned, he was very surprised by that. He actually legit thought that people open up these sports betting accounts online as an investment. And I'm not saying people don't try to make money at it, but I wouldn't really consider it an investment. It is gambling. So there's that. And then also I'm having a phone call this coming week with my PM, my property manager, for an upcoming show that I've been dying to put out for you guys, but I was actually hoping to have it launch on Monday, October 7th, but it's probably going to be a week later than that because I was waiting to finalize some things with the property manager and all that stuff. I wanted to record one show all at once with all the details and put it out. I didn't want to have to do like a part one, part two. So hopefully I'm able to do that and record that show for you guys after my phone call with them this week. So spoiler alert or preview for the next episode, if everything comes together the way that I'm thinking it's going to, the title of that episode is going to be Who Stole My Fucking Water Heater? And so gear up for that one. That should be a good one coming up here soon. So as always, guys, thanks for listening to the Real Talk Personal Finance podcast. We appreciate your listenership. You can send any feedback to realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate and review the show, especially if you feel like we've earned it. We would appreciate a 5-star review. And that's all I have for you guys today. It's a quick one. Enjoy your day. Happy Monday. Depending on when you're listening to this, this will drop on Monday, October 7th. And we will see you in the next episode.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.